Ladies and gentlemen, could we please utilize the assistance of four strong men to remove the leotarded potato from the sauna? Thank you. And please, if you will, welcome to the stage, Panama Judas. It's not that I've got anything against potatoes wearing leotards and using the sauna, but a combination of 95 degrees and a potato in a leotard seems to create a very odd smell that it's not so much offensive, it's just that my nostrils can't compute it. And yeah, pretty traumatic actually when I think back to it. Speakers making funny noises. I had all intentions of having quite a well structured and fast paced discussion with myself regarding dualism, but I was having a discussion with a good friend today, and the problem is I think the more that you come into contact with a state in which each polarity of yourself as an individual becomes comfortable with the other, it becomes increasingly difficult to put it into words. But not only that, the futility of putting into words becomes increasingly evident. I'm going to put some music on, if not just for me. I don't really care for you. But the act of basically discussing the things that I want to discuss kind of go against the nature of the process, I think, because I'm going to discuss with you kind of the role of the ego and the inner monologue in attaching itself to feelings and dragging them forwards further than they need to go. And in order to kind of promote that ceasing, you have to stop applying language to thought. So by applying language to thought, you attach labels, and therefore you start bringing in an emotional response to everything you feel, and you just get attached. You are hooked, and you're kind of like dragged through in some kind of existential fishing trauma. I think that the inner monologue is bait, and it royally fucks us. And not like I'm asked as if I'm some form of fucking important figure who people come to for advice, but it's kind of like a lot of people can't even imagine a life where your brain isn't running a commentary on everything you do. I use I don't know, maybe like, yeah, fuck it, like I don't have any secrets, but I think part of my patter in the meeting of the opposite sex, I usually kind of yeah, I read in some bullshitty men's health thing that kind of gently introducing the topic of sex into conversation whilst engaging with a beautiful woman is a good idea to kind of gauge where they are, and rightly so. So we discussed kind of premature ejaculation and how that fits in with the internal monologue, because you take potentially, depending how you see it, there's some jackhammering desensitized men out there, and I'm not going to chastise them. I'm sure it's great to jackhammer, but I can't drink that much anymore. So the act of having sex with another person, in my theory, is, yeah, you might not foresee the rest of your life with them, but there has to be some form of connection, mentally and physically, that allows it to go ahead without it just being the weirdest, most unsettling experience you could possibly do to yourself. So there, with that in mind, you are being with another person, and if you have an internal monologue which is discussing what's going on in your own head whilst you are sharing that time with someone, then for me it becomes wrong, almost a little bit, I don't know, like rapey, but you're kind of essentially raping yourself, because I don't know, why would you have a conversation with yourself whilst you were enjoying the intimate pleasures of yourself and another? So the kind of whole like premature ejaculation thing is the fact that, well, if you're having a conversation with yourself about the need to do this like this, and the concerns over falling short of I don't know what metaphor to use, anything, make your own up. I'm having a day off today. Um, then what do you expect? Don't tell me that like you need to go see a doctor or like access tablets. You just need to shut up in your own head and maybe enjoy it. Would be a good shout. Oh, it's nice to know like all day my computer's been playing quite happily, and now what, I've got to select every single dog individually. That'll be fun for me. Oh, I found this band the other day. It's all right. We'll go with that. Inoffensive. Not that it'll play on any. Anyway, so yeah, so that was a slightly interrupted and therefore not as poignant as I'd have liked story regarding the inner monologue, and just kind of explaining that it serves as no purpose. When we get upset or say something bad happened, yeah. I've just had I don't know, it's really weird, and as I say, I think I touched upon this last time in regards to, I don't really want to go into it, because you are the jigsaw puzzlers, that you are. Very impressed. It's all that EastEnders practice, I'm assuming, or something of the sort. No, it's not. It's not going to make any noise for me today, is it? So yeah, there we go. Yeah, I kind of had a little bit of a bummer on something that was the opposite of a bummer, but then having used that word to describe it kind of opens up a funny little twist, which them and I will get. I'm not gay, by the way. And that was tied into kind of like everything's happened with kind of what I do and for employment and my desire to move on. I was breaking down. I was getting angry. If this was 5 years ago, it would have been Guinness and whiskey and shouting at people, because little Jamie can't deal with the hiccups that life throws at us, despite them being fairly minor in comparison to the hiccups that I've breezed through like a boss. And it was horrible. I was just like having these conversations, like every single time a feeling came to mind, it was, oh, like this is so painful, and like I miss this, and da 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 da, like constant. And it was getting too much, and I don't know. Sanity kicked in, and when I say sanity kicked in, I probably just went to the gym, or realised that I'm a no, it doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden, the voices stopped, and I think I was on the bus. Um, and instead of having the connotations, I realised like my stomach was turning and my throat was tight, and I felt like I needed to move, and there was kind of like a not a rage because that would be adding emotions to it, but just this like this like energy, this surge, and I realised that without the labels, like this is exactly the same feeling as kind of being excited, like change, and I suppose it led me to think. I've gone way off the topic of dualism, but this is important. This is fine. It led me to think that if we don't attach the labels of what's good and bad and exciting and negative and do it to the things that we do, then we're left with the feeling of being alive, and that can only ever be, and this is where the words become tricky, a good thing, but it's not good because in order to have good, you have to have bad. It's just, yeah, I don't know, smile on the face, maybe do it. It's just you're in something, you're in something that's huge, and the infinite possibilities of what anything can mean, and like wanting to throw yourself in front of a bus 1 minute could be the driver that means in 7 years time you're in the place that you wanted to be, and it's just accepting that you know I know a lot of people who are battling with some form of depression or anxiety issues, or they don't know what to do, and you just apply more and more pressure to yourself. I need to get out of this. This isn't the way to be, and it's just like maybe it is. Maybe you need this. Maybe like you're never going to learn anything until you're ready to call it a day. I mean, like, kind of happened to me. I don't have a negative connotation to my trip to A&E because it was a driver. It was like a needed catalyst that with emotional language attached to it. It was a sad and desperate and attention seeking and pathetically fucking unjust evening. But take away the labels, and it was the reason I put on a pair of running shoes. It was the reason, the reason, So yeah, I think the gist of this is just learn to experience. I think just learn to be open. Scrap the agenda. You don't know. We were discussing it as well. Like some poor girl, and the Tinder harassment of like first time in the UK, kind of. Here's my penis. Let me spend all day with you in your hotel room, and it's this this baffling concept. I mean, I'd love to be a woman on Tinder. Wow, moving stuff. Deep. Um, like you literally kind of like from the moment some of these people I've been there, I'm not going to fucking lie to you, I'm a human being. I picked up my phone because I'm fucking horny and can't be asked to get out of bed, but hey, I have at least some sense of decorum with my approach. And like you wouldn't interact with another human being unless you were guaranteed to have your agenda met. Like, the thousands of people that you're never not going to meet in your life, especially if your approach is as crass as that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll do dualism another time. I'll discuss kind of like we could do it now. You guys don't like anything more than 5 minutes, and we're already on 15. We'll do dualism another time. But yeah, so there we go. I've touched upon something, I think, and I hope yeah. I think everything's just everything's a lot, not too much, but a lot. I'm moved at the moment, and it's everything. I'm not just great, and I'm not sad, and I'm not worried, and I'm not scared, and I'm not lustful, or I'm not in love, I'm not heartbroken. I'm kind of all of these things, and at the same time, I'm none of them because I'm not going to allow myself. It's not a case of allowing myself; it just doesn't happen. I'm not going to get stuck on the labels, and give it a go. I don't think you should either. Um, and I suppose for those who are like, how the fuck do I go about doing that? Find something that just makes your brain stop. A good friend of mine, a boxing coach, Monsieur Russell, a second shout out. Um, he took me through a workout on a bag, and he didn't let me stop, and I wanted to stop, and my body overtook my brain, and it was bliss, absolute bliss. There was no, I wasn't having a conversation with myself, and ever since I felt that for the first time, like naturally, you feel something that good, I just pursued it. Everything I could do, meditation, Alan Watts, Eckhart Tolle, long walks, breathing exercises, exercising to the point of like near death, just because it just took you away. And after a while, it got easier and easier to access that kind of place until I think now, unless things are like really, really, really shit and I'm exhausted or intoxicated. It's generally like the steady state of things, and it's not to say that like you become this stoic, impersonal, can't be touched, feel nothing, which I've been criticised of being before. It's just fair enough. It might look like that from the outside, but no, like everything's there, but it's just the feelings. Like they're not to be labelled. So I don't know. Just because I don't say I am sad doesn't mean I don't have feelings that someone else might connotate with sadness. I'm just not adding the label. My throat might still be, rigid, or, it might still feel like there's water ready to pour out my eyes. But because there's no emotional connotation, it's just something that you can move with and move through. I'm not going to fucking throw myself on my bed and eat Ben and Jerry's until I'm sick in the hope that I don't know. That's beyond my comprehension. Anyway, so it turns out they've managed to get the leotard of potato out of the sauna, um, which was a moving way to spend the wind down after my gym session today. But we'll look at this when we go into dualism. I'm a lovely man, but I'm a cunt at the same time. But anyway, cheers, fuckers.